Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.
The first word that came to mind is memory. I think it's just such a beautiful way of capturing and instilling something forever, whether it's a trip or a hike or going to visit your parents for their birthday or whatever. All of those moments you instinctively, I think, like want to take out, whether it's your phone or your camera, and capture it, right? And remember that moment, because I think those times like make you happy, and you just want to be like, this is sick, and I want to capture this, right? Yep. It's kind of natural.
Adam Stevens?
Yep.
That's your name? Adam
exactly,
Stevens?
Yep.
Okay, so welcome to the podcast. Welcome to Shooting It Raw. Basically a podcast where I ask, if life is a gift, how do we make every second count? Okay, fine. How about you talk about where we are right this very second? It's freaking crazy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, what a story, man. Well, we're at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, both connecting flights. I'm on my way to Chile for a couple weeks, do some hiking, and you're on your way to Georgia.
Yep, Savannah.
Happens to be a funny little coincidence to be on the same flight out from...
How did we meet?
Met at a coffee shop. I've been on 5th.
Where's that?
North Vancouver.
North Vancouver, yeah.
Home for right now, at least.
So we don't know each other, really. Like, we only know each other from the coffee shop and being friendly and...
Exactly,
yes.
Yeah. I saw your shark rescue sticker on your laptop, and I think I took off my headphones while I was editing, and I was like, hey, man, is that like your thing? And yeah, that's kind of where it all started. I knew like right away you had a sweet energy and stuff. So it's always fun to meet people at coffee shops, right?
Yes. Now look, okay, so we're on the flight. We get off at the airport. Right now we're recording in the freaking airport.
Yeah.
So there's going to be like, we're in Dallas. This is the first podcast episode in Dallas.
Sweet.
Yes. In an airport.
I love it, man. Yeah. This is where the best stuff happens, right? It's just like photography. Man. You can't plan it.
Yes.
Like,
a happy accident. And this is exactly... So I told you about the podcast earlier. I invited you. And then we're just like, hey, do you want to record it here? Do you have the gear? I have the gear. Here we are.
I love it, man. Yeah. Fuck. That's there's this good quote from Terrence Blanchard. Success is when adequate preparation meets opportunity. And it reminds me of like this situation where like you have your gear with you. We're both here, right?
Might
and
as well.
Just like things align. It's funny.
And it's gonna be great because in the audio, people walking by, kids screaming, whatever it's gonna be. Whatever it's gonna be. So I haven't seen the photo. You sent it to me. I'm gonna look at them now. I'll do the first one.
Cool. Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay, so the first one is a screenshot, and it says you're a photographer. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Okay. I just screenshotted them because I didn't have the actual files.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the photograph is a fantastic sunset of Toronto skyline. Represent. You can see the Seaman Tower. How recent is this?
2016, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because the skyline is different.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't see many cranes there, but there's probably a lot more right now.
So it's essentially like the left southern third of the skyline, photographed from Lake Superior.
No, photographed from
Lake Ontario.
From Lake Ontario, and there's a pier that goes out around, kind of like a spit, and I skateboarded out there with my friend Brendan one night, who was also getting into photography at the time, and we were just kind of roaming the city and looking for cool opportunities and cool compositions and stuff like that. And
the sunset is beautiful. What kind of camera were you using? Was it a cell phone or what?
No, I think I shot that probably on like a Canon T3i.
Okay. So like proper. I'm making a photograph now.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like it was still an entry level DSLR at the time, but it was one of my first cameras. I think when I started shooting, when I took it off of just using a GoPro and a phone, and really was like, I want to start shooting. And I chose that photo because I think like looking back on it, I didn't know it at the time, but I think that's kind of where it all began for me. It
Okay.
was just like having fun, exploring, and shooting a city that I love.
Yeah,
So-
nice. What's great is the light is really good. So basically, for listeners, it's 2/3 of the bottom third is just the water, and comes some chops, so it's quite there's a bit of waves on there. It reflects the sky, and this is twilight-ish, so it's this beautiful deep blues. Then you have the skyline, which is the buildings and stuff. Very iconic image of, it could only be Toronto, really.
Right.
And then you've got a few clouds capturing the sunlight, and there's a bit of like red, and it's like a really nice sunset shot. Now, as a photographer today, so it is interesting that's the first kind of moment where you said, okay, I'm making a photograph. I think it was Ansel Adams who said some people, what they do is they take photographs. They kind of go and take, whereas when you make a photograph, it's a lot more deliberate, right? And so, why don't you talk about photography? I didn't come up with it. Old Daddy Adams did.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that was just at a funny time in my life. That photo is very significant because I was, how old would I have been at the time? Maybe 23, 24 years old. I studied music in university, went on to studying education, and became a teacher, and played a lot around Toronto as a musician. And it almost feels like a totally different life now.
What instrument?
I played bass. Was my main instrument. Yeah,
I believe
jazz,
it.
Studied jazz.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe it.
And at that time, I had just, I think it was around that time, I just quit my teaching job and living in Toronto at the time, just kind of figuring out what I was going to do. And photography was something that just felt like really organic and natural to me. And it wasn't...
so you're a skater, you're a teacher of what age?
So yeah, I taught for 1 year at a private school in Mississauga.
Okay.
2015, 16.
How do you spell Mississauga?
It's a trick question, isn't it? Mississauga.
Did it. Nailed it. You're almost blushing. I'm such a dick.
Put me on the spot.
No.
Snapping back with the facts.
It's awesome.
Spelling was my best subject when I was in school. So.
This is great. Okay, so part of the podcast spirit is this idea that every second is a gift, right? Like every second something amazing can happen. Like getting on the plane and all of a sudden, what? You know, it's that.
Hey, you walked by me and I was like, what are the chances of this, man? The universe is so funny.
It's so great. But so, for example, you go out with your friends. How many friends?
Like at this time when we were doing the photography, that night was just with one friend, another one of my friends who's also just getting into photography.
He brought his camera as well?
Yeah,
you guys
exactly.
Said, we're going to make photos.
Exactly.
So what is your development in terms of your aesthetics?
Since that photo?
Or how about this? Better question. The skater punk who made that photograph had one brain. Right. And the person I'm talking to now has a more matured brain from that kid.
Yeah.
So what do you see in terms of that evolution? Oh wait, let's just let the lady talk.
She's gonna answer for me. Honestly, this photo to me screams like innocence. Like I just didn't know what I was doing at the time. There's so much ignorance and naivety, and I didn't know the next 5-6 years of my life would be shaped by traveling around the world with a camera. This to me was just us messing around, man. Like you said, we're just skating and having fun, right? I think the innocence of that photo, I look at it and I feel home for one, because I grew up north of Toronto and I spent a lot of time in the city, and I think it's a great place. But more so, it's just I didn't know everything that was going to happen after that. Taking that photo would have become such a big part of my identity, right? Yeah.
So when you had made that, so you were teaching at the time, or no?
I can't remember if this is the year before I started teaching or maybe the year after. So it's kind of all around the same time. I say circa 2015 kind of thing. Yeah, I was just finding myself, right? I was in between music and teaching and not knowing it yet, but starting a career of filmmaking and photography, right?
Okay. So my caffeine jacked brain at the moment is going to skip forward and back a lot.
Yes.
So can you think of a photo that you made? This is an important photo because it kind of started something.
Yeah.
So maybe one of the photos you sent is like going to answer this question, but what was the most surprising result from a photograph in your life?
It's an interesting question.
That surprised you?
The most surprising result from a photograph.
Or something, like, you know, like you made a photo and maybe at the time you thought this is a big deal, but then it actually, what evolved from it was, wow, that photo really resonated, created some kind of change.
Right, yeah.
If it's not coming out now, it's going to come out in a bit.
Yeah,
It's going to sit in your brain.
It's a tough one. I think, like, there's probably a lot of photos where, like, you don't really know at the time. Like, even it's maybe more metaphoric for, like, just going out and shooting. But a lot of times on the shoot, I always think I know, like, the best photo or the photo that I'm going to like the most. And then you get home and you put them up in your edit and capture one or Lightroom, and then you actually see the photo that you, like, originally, like, kind of scoffed off as, like, not a good photo, and you have just a different perspective, I guess, and you look at it and you're like, oh, that's actually,
that's
like,
a much stronger
photo, right? Yeah, and it's kind of, it goes in tandem with, like, not forcing anything, where if you go out with the idea of this photo, for example, right, to go back to that, if we went out that night and I was like, I need this skyline shot with, like, CN Tower on the lower third, and that was my hero shot, I don't think it would have been as special because it was so calculated. You kind of have tunnel vision, but like we just went out with, I talked about this in the recent film I made, but if your intention first is always to meet people or enjoy the moment and have a good experience, and the photography is secondary, I think you're already kind of successful. But if you go out with, I need this shot, then you kind of put limits, I think, on yourself, right?
No, I'm eating this up. Okay, so you dropped something. I'm gonna pick it up. The most recent film you made. We're gonna talk about it in a bit.
Okay. No, let's talk about it now.
Okay.
I looked at you because it pumps me up. I'm super excited about it. And it's something that would be related to some of the other photographs. But I recently had the opportunity to do a project with Sullivan, the global running company, well known as a ski brand in Europe, but they do a lot of trail running. And for this project, it's a project across Canada featuring photographers called The Art of Running. And
they sent you around Canada?
They didn't send me around. They're featuring photographers around Canada that all focus on shooting running and sports.
Nice.
And for this project, I wanted to do something different instead of working with, like, a hotshot runner.
She's so rude. We're trying to have a conversation here.
So, they gave us the opportunity to choose an athlete to feature on this project. And my mom, Sharon, just turned 70 this year, and she has picked up running and trail running. She runs in Sullivan's shoes. It was like the perfect sort of synthesis of a lot of things. And we flew her out to British Columbia, and we went up north in the Alpine, and I got to do a photo shoot capturing her running in the Alpine for the first time in her life, and at 70 years old.
What a treat, man.
Yeah.
I am happy for her. I'm happy for you. What a nice thing to do.
Like such a special project. Like, I light up when I think about it. It's been the most, like, purpose-driven project I think I've ever been a part of, just to work with my mom. Yeah, just so many things, like, aligning of, I talk about it in the film, but I moved out here from Ontario basically to focus more on being outside and shooting the outdoors, shooting running, and to be able to combine that with someone like my mom, who has influenced me. She's a photographer as well. She's a runner as well. So she's had such a, like, big influence on my life. So to be able to bring her out and show her what I do,
amazing,
and combine that with shooting her is like, it's just such a fun project.
Dude,
so
you're so sweet.
And that should be released in the spring.
So in this photograph, if you made it, it's absolutely stunning. Is it done with a drone?
It is.
Okay, so it's done from a good 200 or 300 meters above the water line. Basically, just at the bottom, you see this really organic cliffs and rock and intense. The light's beautiful. It's afternoon or morning. The sun is low, so there's a lot of shadow, and it's half the image, or 2/3 of the image, are just the water with a relatively calm sea, and there's a bit of surf, beautiful blue and grays and all that stuff. And on the left side is the landscape. Walk us through this.
Yeah, it's still like to this day one of the most incredible coastlines
Yeah.
I've ever seen. Like it's
Where is
stuff
this?
out of fairy tales. It's Nusa Penida Island in Indonesia.
Indonesia. Okay.
Yeah. So
Wow.
the island just south of Bali, basically.
Wow.
And I think that beach is called, I might be making a mistake, but I'm pretty sure it's called Kling Kling Beach. And you can actually walk along that ridge. So
Okay.
I was flying my drone and I was shooting it from up here. And you can actually walk down. There's literally a trail that goes right along that spine.
Yeah.
And you can go down to the
Amazing.
To the beach.
So I'll just describe it in words. So basically, just at the edge of the shot, you see kind of weird habitation or like a sort of man-made imprint on the landscape. And the cliffs look like they're about 100 meters up-ish. And then as you pointed out, there's this ridge that is literally on the left, it falls down to a beach, and on the right, it falls down to another beach. And you walk down the ridge, and there's probably a couple of switchbacks at the bottom that bring you to sea level. And then there's a stunning beach.
And the surf just comes in there and crashes. So, and it's basically how that formation was. I imagine. You know.
And in Bali, there's. Okay, attention to the terminal. 1 second. It's so good. So did I lose my train of thought? No. It's just, do you surf?
I didn't surf when I was in Bali, but I've surfed in Tofino since then. But I wish at the time of this I had taken some surf lessons out there.
But the surf out there can be pretty big.
Yeah, it can. Yeah, like I was just saying, seeing it come into there, people will get unfortunately swept away on that beach. It's a very dangerous beach because the waves just come in with such force, right?
Okay. This is where I geek out a little bit. What kind of drone are you using?
That was with the original Mavic Pro that I brought on that trip. And I think I have like the Mavic 2 now or something like that. But just that small
it's great.
one that fits in your bag.
Did you do something with this image? Was it for a project or was it just...
No, so that trip was, that image is significant because that trip to Southeast Asia, I spent like 5 or 6 months there solo, just going through, I did Myanmar, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore.
What do you mean Burma? Sorry, Burma. Myanmar. Whenever I hear the word Myanmar, I always have to say Burma. It's Burma. Okay,
Yeah, and that trip was like, I think when I decided that I was going to go in on photography. So I'd done some projects.
One prospect agent at 810, one prospect agent at 810.
So good. Okay, yeah.
I'd done some projects for...
Stuck on this one.
It's not meant to be.
Even she's laughing. Okay.
So before that, like I'd done a couple like corporate, for lack of a better term, projects and started making money doing this and realized there was a career. And was kind of riding high from like making a bit of money at this. And I kind of I wouldn't say rewarded myself by going on a trip, but this is a passion project trip of just, I wanted to travel. I'd never really done a solo backpacking trip, and I wanted to bring the camera and just capture shots like this. I really wanted to know on that trip of like capturing quote unquote bangers. Like I wanted to go and capture like really good banger photos, and that was sort of one of them when I decided like this is
So when you say photography, is it video as well, or is it like
I was doing like 50,
it's whatever
50,
anything with a camera?
Hybrid. I think some of my friends called it a videographer. Where you kind of do the gear. Both. Yeah. Since then, I think I've been trying to specialize more in photography. I'm more drawn to photo and the post-processing involved with photography versus video. Video is just so many layers and such a bigger team, and I'm doing some like directing and editing work with video, but since then veered more towards photography.
Sweet. On to the next photo?
Sure, man. Do I have anything else to say about? No, not really.
I'm sure we could dive an hour in one image.
Yeah, we can. Yeah. They're all symbolic, as you're starting to see the theme, for different reasons, right? It's funny that, like, we were talking about photos at the beginning of this being, like, memories, where I don't think any of these shots that I shared with you today are, like, I didn't share them just because of the photo as, like, as a piece of fine art. It's what does it represent?
Well, it's a signifier, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like the idea is to share what makes you you, and each, like, since you're a photographer or you have that within you, the images are going to be amazing. They're going to be really popping. So, but underneath all that is the story, is the kind of experience.
Yeah, exactly. And we're all storytellers, I think, at the end of the day, right?
Sure.
And photos tell a cool story. You might not know it at the moment, where there's probably a lot of, you look at this and maybe a lot of people wouldn't know like where it is, or that it's shot with a drone, or there's so many like, and I think that's what's cool about photography too, is it's not explicitly saying like, this was at 6 a.m. and we had just done a 3-hour motorbike across the island to get there for the right light, and then we sent up the drone, and we were basically like giddy kids just looking at the light and seeing this landscape from so high up through the drone. Like, it's just, there's such an electric and incredible energy when you're on shoots like this, and it's just
that's cool,
so fun.
Okay. Okay, so
that probably looks familiar to you.
Well, 2/3 of the top of the image are just sky with the sun hitting the undersides of these, relatively wispy clouds. 1/3 of the image is the coastline. You're saying something about me. It says British Columbia at the top. Okay, so it's BC coastline, I assume. The bottom is, again, a sea that is relatively quiet, really low, so not many waves. Is this morning or afternoon?
It is sunset.
Okay, so if it's sunset and BC and the view, I would say that you're on the mainland side shooting across to Vancouver Island. I may be wrong, but I would say okay.
Sharing part of it too.
Okay. Yeah. So why is this? What is the significance of this image?
This image is it's one of the first shots I took. I think I took it in October, November of 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, and that's when I decided to move to British Columbia.
Okay.
Yeah. And this photo, I think, captures why. This place is
dramatic,
stunning.
It is just
breathtakingly beautiful.
So the Sea to Sky Highway, basically from Vancouver up to Squamish, is so stunning. It makes your eyes pop out of your skull. It's so amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, the sky and the mountains, the water, it's just crazy.
I still get, every time I drive that highway, I still get chills. You put on the right song and you drive through there at sunrise or sunset, and you just have that, what the kids call the main character moment. Where you're like, holy shit, this is life. And
so were you driving back from Squamish or wherever?
So that photo's taken from a hike. So it's in Squamish, and there's a hike there I'm forgetting that provincial park, Murin Park.
Okay.
A lot of cool rock climbing and hikes in there, and there's this hike you can do up to the top part of it's called Jurassic Ridge. Okay. And there's a viewpoint from there looking. That's basically looking west towards. It's not quite Vancouver Island. It's some of the islands in between Squamish and Bowen. So Anvil Island, Gambier maybe. Anyway, they're very recognizable because it's 3 of these dinosaur, half in the water dinosaur landscapes, and
so as you say this, you drop the word rock climbing. I just realized now you're wearing an Arc'teryx jacket. They should totally sponsor this freaking podcast. What is your relationship to being in the outdoors and sports and whatever? Are you a rock climber, or are you
I do some climbing, mostly
running. You're
mostly
saying?
Indoors. Yeah, trail running is kind of where it's at.
Okay. What's the farthest you've run?
54, 55K.
Okay. Was that a race?
Done it a couple of times. The first time I did it was just for fun.
Nice.
I just went on a long adventure run with friends.
Passenger Haley Rusnick.
Haley.
You are in the area.
Haley.
Please check in.
We just met up with some friends, and we did this cool waterfall trail route in Ontario.
Nice.
And then this past August, I think I ran into you a couple days after I did it, but I did the Squamish 50K race. So I have done some races in that distance too.
What was the elevation gain for the Squamish race?
I think it's around 2,000 meters or something like that. So it's a good amount of climbing. Yeah, it was hard.
So until I met my wife, I was really not a runner, and she's from she grew up in BC on the coast, so she is a long distance runner, and because of her, we did trail races in Hong Kong. So in Hong Kong, tons of trail races. It's really strong.
Cool.
Really, really strong. So I know what it's like to do the long distance. Did you lose any toenails?
You know what I didn't?
Shane, party too. Please.
Shout out to Hoka, greatest shoe brand of all time.
Okay. Oh, really? We'll talk about that. Why?
I think they make phenomenal shoes. Them and Ultra. I've tried so many different shoe brands, and
But
I'm
not Solomon. Oh, snap!
Well, I was about to say I'm not any way associated with any brand. I've done some
Yeah.
work with
Yeah,
brands,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm shoe agnostic. So,
Got it. For sure.
but I know what works for me.
Yeah. It's
and
just your foot.
on this trip, actually, like we're heading out. I was talking about we're going to Chile hiking for a month. I brought one pair of hiking trail running shoes.
Okay.
And they're Ultra, so that's just another brand where it's zero drop.
Right.
Really wide toe box.
Right.
Saves your toes. Right.
Okay, yeah.
And then the shoes that I ran that race in are Hoka. So a nice amount of cushion, still a wide toe box. The narrow European style shoes.
Right.
Just don't.
Yeah,
work
I have
very
a
well.
wide foot as well.
Yeah.
Not to bore the listener.
Oh, I can nerd out on shoes all
Oh,
day.
yeah?
Yeah. And
Are we
running.
gonna? Okay. So when I did the longest trail race I did, because of my wife and I, she was the like if it was up to me, that wouldn't have been my thing.
Right.
But because of her, we did it, and in that particular race, I lost 3 toenails. It was very painful, but we came in 4th place in couples.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was
Congrats.
76 kilometers.
Wow. And then
Yeah.
you shared the distance kind of between.
No, we did it together. You had to do it together.
Oh my god.
So yeah,
wow.
and in Hong Kong, it's not as high. The hills aren't as tall as BC, but the elevation change was decent. And this
Yeah.
one's called the Phoenix Race.
Oh man, that's so cool.
It was good.
So 76K, that's almost 50 miles. So
Yeah, it's
pretty much
yeah,
a 50
yeah,
miler.
yeah, 50 miler. Yeah.
Cool, man. I didn't
Yeah.
know you were into that too. That's so sick.
Not so much now. I don't do it so much. I said not do so much.
You get it then, right? Like
Yep.
you understand like the feeling of being like your question earlier about
Sure.
just asking like what the draw is, and it's like it's obviously very like cliche, but after a run like yesterday, so like my last day before traveling out here,
Right.
me and my girlfriend and her friend went for a 3-hour run around Lynn Valley.
Wicked.
And next photo kind of involves
Okay.
Lynn Valley,
Okay.
but it's basically how I like to spend my days. You know?
Nice.
It makes you feel good.
Yep. So most of my trail running, being on since I've been in BC, I've been doing as much outdoor stuff as I could.
Yeah.
So I've been up to Squamish and definitely the Lynn Canyon and all that stuff. What is the most profound or most surprising animal encounter
Oh.
that you've had?
So anything come to mind? Believe it or not, since I've been out here, I haven't run into any bears.
No,
I haven't had any
You have
close
to go
bear.
look for them.
I've seen some bears on the
Okay.
hill, but not anything wild, super close
okay,
or
okay.
around the corner you see the bear.
Right.
Any animal? No, not. I guess I've been pretty lucky.
Or loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I actually on Seymour I saw a mother and 2 cubs. of a
Okay.
bear. That was fun.
Cool.
That was great.
Yeah, it's always so exciting.
Yeah, and then, but for example, flip side, you in a place like Hong Kong, which is subtropical, so you have wild boar, you got cobras, king cobras. It's full on.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's gnarly.
Yeah, and
It's funny that here we're people here are afraid of bears, and then we're afraid of the insects and the snakes. And,
well, you're afraid of what can kill you. So here it's cougars and bears. Yeah. So I'm thinking, what else can kill you? It's not Australia, so. Have you been to Australia?
No, I haven't.
Ah,
no,
next
I'd love
project.
to. I'd love to go there. Yeah, New
Okay.
Zealand. New Zealand's calling me.
I know this spot.
I didn't take this photo,
Okay, you didn't take this photo,
but
okay.
I'm in this photo.
Okay, so what it is a photo, and if it is where I think it is, and I may be wrong. So it's a guy in swimming shorts, shirt off, and you say it's you. Off in the distance, most of the foreground is the water on top of a stream bed. So there's not very much greenery in the water, although the water is kind of green. And then there's the hard rock in the background with what looks like pines. I mean, if I were to put my money on it, it would be the creek in Lynn Canyon,
Exactly.
where the water is nice and cool.
Yeah, you nailed it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a 30-foot pool for the locals, or if anyone listening to this ever goes to North Vancouver.
Yeah, it's so good to go in the water.
Pools. Yeah,
So good.
so good. I love it. That's a ritual for me, man. Like that's my church.
Nice.
It's my favorite place in the world, I think.
Okay.
I shared that photo. Yeah, I didn't take it. My friend Josh, his name's Josh Kobe. He's a photographer from Toronto. He came out and visited me, and I showed him around my
We'll
new
try
home.
to get Josh on the podcast as well.
Definitely. Josh is a total legend.
Okay.
He shoots a lot of his work on film, so this is just a point-and-shoot film camera.
Okay.
And he sent me the roll after he got back, and I just looked at the photos, and it's fun being a photographer because you shoot so many people, you don't get a lot of photos of yourself.
Right.
So to have a photo of me finally is like, I don't know, it's
In
kind
this
of
place.
egotistical, but like
No, it's not egotistical.
It's meaningful because it's such a special place to me.
Do you go in there after you run, or
I
you
do.
go there to specifically?
Both.
Okay.
Most of the time, just because it's like a 10-ish minute drive from my house in Lower Lonsdale, I do try to link up a run. So I'll go do half an hour long run on the trails.
Nice.
I'll finish up the run running down the stairs, and I'll get to the bottom there, and I'll just hop in my running shorts.
Yeah.
And I do the cold plunging.
It's great.
And it's just so centering. It makes you feel really alive.
Okay, so the first week that I was here, I looked up online, and then there's a meetup group that met to do it. And so when I went, it was in March. Yeah, May.
Okay.
And the water was so cold that I went in slowly that my feet, I think, got damaged in the capillaries because I was going in too slowly.
Ooh.
And my feet got kind of like for like 2 weeks afterwards, the tissue was really painful.
Wow.
But I was able to stomach about 2 minutes in the water, and I'd say it was about 5 or 6 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
And in the summer, I think the hottest, I brought a thermometer, it was 10 degrees Celsius.
Yeah. Yeah, it does
Cold.
get quite a bit warmer.
Yeah, but
still
it's still cold. Yeah.
For middle of summer, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that place is astounding. So, I have to, because I'm always curious about this.
Yeah.
You say it's like your church, it's like your thing. So, and obviously being in the outdoors is a significant experience for you. Kid who grew up in Ontario, Toronto,
Yeah.
where it's actually hard to get to. Not so hard. I mean, like to get to elevation, you have to drive a long way. But how does this influence you? Like, why is this meaningful?
Attention, please.
Attention, please. Why is this meaningful? Like, why is the outdoors for a kid who grew up in Toronto calling you?
I think it's just, I've always been drawn, ever since I was a kid. Like my mom told me I didn't like spending time inside.
Okay.
I always just wanted to be outside, like playing street hockey, exploring, going, like climbing trees, playing in the grass. It's just such a primal and natural and just like home. Like it feels like where I should be, and I'm most happy the more I like self-aware, whatever I become and reflect and journal and everything. I realize like the times that I'm most happy and content, like within, is without coincidence times that I'm outside moving and doing activities. It's just something we're so drawn to it, I think, as humans, and we spend a lot of our life on computers and inside, and we've created this like really comfortable place for us. But I think the draw to the nature is like, it's just like back to square one.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. So definitely, as far as mental health, as far as being in nature with big skies and big spaces, and I think as somebody who didn't grow up in BC and like you came to BC, what really hits you is how big things are. Right? The mountains are big, the water is big,
so expansive,
trees,
so vast.
Yeah.
And it's so wild, right? Like you can't help but look around and just be like, holy shit, like look at this place. It's so beautiful. Yeah. You know, like I'm even smiling just like thinking about how beautiful it is.
Yeah, it's really stunning.
Yeah. And it does, you just talk about mental health. It helps my mental health so much, like being in nature, but also combining spending time in nature, like forest bathing, right? The art of Shinrin Yoku. Shinrin Roku, I think, is like the Japanese word for just spending time like in the forest. Yeah. It just helps us so much. And combining that with cold plunging, which like on a physiological level releases chemicals in your brain and makes you happy.
Endorphins for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's bring us back to where we're seated. We're seated in these slightly comfortable airport chairs. People are pushing. They're walking their carry-on luggage like pets. It's almost like leashes, right? They're all walking their little pets to the bathroom, and everybody's kind
so
of
many different breeds and different.
And so here we are. You're on your way to Chile.
Yeah.
So how long have you planned this trip? And I assume it's going to involve running and photography.
Exactly.
So do tell.
Yeah, I booked the flights for this trip on a whim.
Okay.
I tend to do a lot of things in life.
Respect.
I'm not a big planner. I just try to tap into my gut. And, is that something I want to do? And I got, it's not sponsored or anything, no plugs here, but there's a website called Next Departures that I'm subscribed to, and they just send you cheap flight deals. So I'm registered for the one from YVR in Vancouver. So every week these flights get into my inbox.
What is the website?
Next Departures.
Next Departures.
Yeah. It's like nothing, like $5 a month or something like that.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I got a $700 round trip flight to Santiago
in Chile
in the inbox.
Alpha 14 for passenger assistance.
I think it's hilarious that we've gotten into the rhythm of stopping to talk when the announcements come.
Yeah, we just know. Right,
okay, so then so you get it in your inbox, $700 to go down to Chile.
Yeah, and I've always wanted to go to South America. Yeah, so I haven't done much travel outside of North America since before COVID. So the itch to just explore and do something uncomfortable was there. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I didn't really know what I was gonna do until a couple weeks ago when I started looking more into treks and some backpacking and stuff like that. And so I'm basically going to go from Santiago, take another flight south to Punta Arenas is another city there, take a bus from there, and that's kind of the gateway to Torres del Paine, which is where I'm going to be doing some backpacking.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is all your kit? Or did you chucked it in the...
No, this is everything I'm bringing is right here.
Okay, so we're pointing to your luggage. You've got one carry-on, one small running backpack, your water bottle, the requisite water bottle with stickers on it. Yep.
And a little fanny with my point and shoot camera.
Are these your shoes that you run with?
These are kind of more of a travel shoe.
Okay.
I brought 2 pairs of shoes in this trip. One's the trail runners that I'll be doing hiking in, and these are my I'll wear them all the time. But they're also running shoes. So if I want to do some runs on the road when I'm there, I still have a pair of shoes to run in, right? Yeah. I would have brought 9 pairs of shoes with me, as most runners do, but I didn't have the space for it.
Yeah. No, you're definitely traveling light. And you say you're going for a month?
Yeah, November 6th, which is today, until the 30th.
Wicked.
Yeah, so 3.5 weeks.
I love... Okay, so when we first met... Eric, you're getting in the way.
Come on, man.
Dallas mayors love to interrupt. So what was good was that in terms of the emotional state, the first sort of moment in the conversation, the energy is super high because we're all kind of elated, but you can't maintain that emotion. But it's still astounding when you think about, we just did a trip from Vancouver to Dallas, which 200 or 300 years ago took a year.
Right.
And we just did it 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then we're here. And we're recording this conversation that somebody across the world is going to listen to. Is going to listen to your crazy accent. And be like, this guy is crazy. It's amazing.
Yeah, we live in such a wild time, eh? Yeah.
So in terms of your projects, because we lead very similar lives in which you're hustling to get contracts. You're not an employee. You're your own...
Freelance, right? Yeah, self-employed, I guess. Yeah.
So do you have an eye or part of your brain is saying, well, how can I capture stuff that I'll be able to commercialize? Or you're just putting your commercial life on pause?
Very much the second one. Okay. Yeah. I've been working quite a bit this summer. I'm fortunate to have a good chunk of work and a lot of time just editing and emails and all the stuff that is involved with running a business, going through accountants and bookkeeping. And you have to be very careful, as I'm sure you know in this industry as well, is it ebbs and flows. It's feast or famine. And the times when it's very, very busy, it's like I just said, it's awesome. But I think you have to be very careful of burning out because it's a creative thing. And this for me is it's November. It's the rainiest month in the Pacific Northwest. Right. Last November, I had a rough time of just dealing with the short days, the darkness, all the precipitation. So that part was in tandem why leaving in November worked very, very well. But yeah, I wanted to just disconnect and unplug and go back to the roots of like, why am I doing this? I want to go back to the first photo I showed you in Toronto and just go and have fun and just capture what I see looks sweet and just take some photos. And when I come home, I'll edit some photos. I'll share them on my Instagram. Yeah. But no like commercial.
Do you have a website?
Really. I do. Yeah, it's the same as my Instagram. So it's Adam Stevens Visuals.
Adam Stevens
Visuals.
Okay.
Yeah. All across the board. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Website, Instagram. Okay. YouTube, Facebook, all the good stuff. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'll put together a little. I joked around with my girlfriend Catherine of like maybe putting together a little book of like some prints of the trip, like calling it a month and had it going here or something like that. And just doing it not so much to try to sell a bunch of them, but just I think it'd be really cool to just have them all. And there's nothing like seeing your photos printed out, physical copy, right? So maybe I'll do something like that. But yeah, no brands, just spending money this month instead of making money. Yep.
Ebb and flow, man. Adam, that's it. I think did we do all the photos? I think we did.
Yeah, that was the fourth one. Yeah, and it comes back to North Vancouver, which is where we met now. Where we met.
Yeah. Dude, thank you so much. This is so good.
Yeah, man. Thank you, dude. Yeah. So pumped we could make this happen. For the record, when we first met, in like it was this summer, I think. Yeah. He had asked me to do this, and typical Adam just was.
Oh, are we talking about him in the third person now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, he's very nice.
Talking about him in third person.
He's a very nice guy,
but not so nice that he put off doing this podcast.
No. You did it on purpose because you knew the universe would want us to record here. Easily the best.
Right.
Thank you.
So rad.
Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.